is and welcome them into the mix. You'll end up with a crew that will climb any mountain with you. And that's one of the biggest things I learned. And have an open mind and know that, as a director, your initial inspiration, your initial story idea, for as strong as it might be, just know that it's going to evolve and it's going to develop and it's going to get better as you go, and be open to change. And those are some of the biggest things that I learned even as late as making Snow Bear. I made that and remade it, and we got suggestions from other people, and I listened to those suggestions, and that's how we ended up getting it done.
We redid the ending to Snow Bear like 3 or 4 times.
Yes.
I got a question back here.
Hello, Mr. Blade. My name is Anna. How are you?
I'm great.
Awesome. I just have 2 questions. As a filmmaker, I went to film school, and that was the first time where I was learning more about, different film, like elements and techniques, and something such as aspect ratio. And that's something that I noticed after I learned it. I realized that it was used in this movie.
Yes.
After,
Good eye.
transforms into a bear, and that was such like an eye-opening for me, because it taught me, how you can create, a big impact, by doing subtle things by telling the story. So my question for you is, who had that idea, and if, I know that you're an illustrator and animator first, but as the director as well, now do you get more involved in other aspects of, like telling the story, such as, the shots, the camera work, like the music? Do you think about those things more now?
As a director, you have full responsibility to those. Matter of fact, the aspect ratio change was something that I can't remember if it was me or if it was my co-director. It was one of us that came up with the idea. I know that I was pushing it right from the beginning. So, and it was actually something that we got a little bit of pushback on, because to change the aspect ratio in the middle of a film is really difficult to do, especially in the age of DVDs and videos, where a lot of our audience was watching this on television. And when Brother Bear first came out, people thought that their videos were broken. But we pitched it over and over to the executives, and they bought into it. The whole idea, the theme behind Brother Bear is to see through another's eyes. It's all about empathy, to see differently. And so we did a couple of different things with Brother Bear. We changed the aspect ratio. So for those of you that don't know what the aspect ratio is, it's the proportion of the square or the rectangle that you're watching. In the beginning of the film, it's a one unit high to 1.85 units wide. So it's kind of, it's a nice rectangle, sort of like what you're looking at now. And then once he becomes a bear and he opens his eyes, we go to a C-scope ratio, which is 1 unit high to 2.4 units wide. So he's getting a wider view. So we're using the aspect ratio to help tell the story. It's a visual medium that we use. And so any way we could push this idea of seeing through new eyes, we wanted the audience to see through new eyes, just like Kenai was seeing through new eyes. The other thing that we did was we changed the saturation of the color. And when he's a human, when we're in the first act of the film, everything is muted. All the color is just there's color, but it's kind of grayed. And then once he becomes a bear and he opens his eyes, when you see those big sequoia trees for the first time, the color is just cranked right up. And because he's seeing, there's actually one other thing we did. The animals, all of the animals in the first act have dark eyes, like in the way that we see animals. But it's not until Kenai becomes an animal that he sees their soul for the first time. And so we give them more expressive eyes and faces and things like that. So it's those 3 different things that we did that are very subtle, but they help push this thematic idea of empathy and seeing through new eyes.
Yeah. Another question right here.
What What would your job be if it wasn't animation?
Wow, that's a good one. I would probably be a musician because I love playing music as well. You guys ready to see if this works? Let's see if this works. I'm going to hit play. I don't have all the drawings in there, but we'll see how it goes.
You still have about 10 minutes.
That's not bad. That works pretty good. I wish it was going through
You're a bear, Johnny.
There you go. You're a bear.
I have a question over there by Aaron. I'll come across. I got a question right here, Aaron.
Yes, he's been nice and patient the whole time.
Yeah. Can you come up with all the names of the characters in the movie?
All the
All the
names.
names of the characters.
Oh, well, that was fun. So we looked at for Brother Bear, we looked at a bunch of different Athabascan names, and because those are the native people from Alaska, and going back to that, by the way, we set Brother Bear during the Ice Age, which is why you see mammoths and things like that. And the reason we did that is we wanted, even though we wanted it to have a lot of authenticity from a cultural standpoint, we also wanted to have the ability to add a little bit of our own culture. And so that's why we set it back so far. And then those names are Athabascan names, but they're also places in Alaska. And we were literally looking at places in Alaska and wanting to keep the Athabascan flavor, and so that's, Kenai is part of the Kenai Peninsula. Sitka is a place. Denali, there's a Denali, the mountain, but we had copyright issues with Denali because Toyota had a Denali car. So we changed it to Denahi, which is really kind of funny. One of the cool things about this, I just wanted to share a little anecdote, was just the synergy that we had in making this film. So, in the opening of the film, when you hear all the narration, it starts out in Inuit, and so we translated much of the story where we needed it into Inuit. And one of the places, other than the narration in the beginning, was during the transformation. When Kenai's turning into a bear, the voices that you hear, they're singing Inuit. But Phil Collins wrote all of that in English. He was writing about seeing through new eyes and transforming. And then we took those lyrics, we brought them to the University of Alaska, where they were translated into Inuit. And then we went to the Bulgarian Women's Choir in Bulgaria, and they sing it all phonetically because they have their singing is very haunting and very spiritual. And so we just had this very global kind of synergistic approach to this song, this transformation song, which was really cool. Phil Collins had just come off of getting an Oscar for Tarzan, and they were very hot on Phil, and I was really happy to get Phil, and so Phil came onto our film very early, but we realized early on that we didn't want him singing, much to the chagrin of Phil. We didn't want him singing all of the different parts, although we wanted him playing a lot, writing of the songs, which is why we, for the opening number, we had Tina Turner singing for us. Who, by the way, I don't know if I've ever, Benji, who's here in the audience, from one of our followers, Benji and Zaunji, two of the guys that were part of our group, that they would tune in. I live streamed the making of Snow Bear twice a week to my followers on our website. And they were two of the group that would join in every week and watch me make the film. And Benji is from Basel, Switzerland. And I forgot to tell you this, Benji, but I went to Basel. That's when I was in Basel, I was there to record Tina Turner for the opening of Brother Bear. We went up into the hills and recorded her. So that was a pretty cool experience to be sitting with Phil Collins and Tina Turner and recording in the studio.
You know, like you do. I've got a question here up front, and we may have one, maybe two more. This one, we're getting close on time.
Have you ever drawn a dog?
A dog? I've drawn lots of dogs. Yes.
Very good question.
Very good question. Matter of fact, let's see here.
One more.
Can you shed some more light on what the Russian bear is saying during the salmon run scene?
Well, here's the funny thing about that. The Russian bear isn't speaking Russian. But you were sucked in just like I was. He's speaking Croatian. And we wanted a Russian bear. We didn't have anybody at the studio. We had one guy that spoke Russian, and his recording was really flat. We had another guy that's Croatian, and his performance was amazing. And stupid me, I thought, oh, that sounds like Russian. Let's put that in the movie. Cut ahead to every year since then, I get Croatian people going, why is there a bear speaking Croatian in the movie?
Your question right here, I think.
So I noticed the film has some similarities to the other movie Brave. Was there any influence?
I'm sorry, say that again?
The movie, did this influence the movie Brave at all? Was
Actually,
it-
Brother Bear came before Brave, so Brave copied me.
Right. So did it,
She'd ask you if it influenced Brave.
I don't think so, I don't know, but we weren't allowed to talk about it. So there you go.
Got a question back here. I know we're getting close on time. About 5 minutes left here.
I'm drawing a dog.
So, how do you explain, how would you say the feeling of seeing your name on the credits and being like, hey, that's me? How
Yeah,
would
it's
you
all right.
explain that feeling?
It's a good question.
It's really cool. I remember the first time on the first film that I ever worked on, and I got to see my name in the credits for the first time, I thought, wow, that's really cool. And so, yeah, it's a nice piece of, it's satisfying because you work so hard on these films. And so when you get to see a little bit of credit up there on the screen, it's very nice. So there's a little dog, a little husky. Dogs are very similar to bears in the way that they're built. And so you can see that all I have to do is, oh, if I change his ears to here,
I was just gonna say, this bear's gonna turn into a husky on the last frame.
yeah, now we've changed the cheek shapes. Hey, now we got a bear.
Pretty cool. You got a question back here?
Hi, Aaron.
Hi. Hey, Brian.
Hey, of the studios that you worked at, did the production for Brother Bear take place primarily in Florida or out in California or a combination?
It was pretty much all Florida, all of it. Yeah, so Mulan kind of was started in California, then we made it in Florida. Lilo and Stitch, which was the next film that we made in Florida, had California directors, but the whole thing was made in Florida. And then Brother Bear was completely a Florida. We were all Florida grown, Florida studio, the whole deal. So we were 100% pure Florida.
And I think this is the last question.
Well, roar.
How long did it take for you to develop your own style of art?
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
How long did it take for you to develop your own style of art?
I'm 57. It's taken 57 years.
He's still
Yeah,
developing.
so what I mean by that is your style is always evolving. It's always changing. It's always developing into something else. Your style is a result of all of your influences and how you digest those influences and put them into your own work. And as you mature as an artist and change as an artist, your style is going to change because those influences are going to change. And my style of art is different than it was 5 years ago, different from what it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 40 years ago. And it's gonna be different from what it's gonna be, heaven forbid, nothing happens 10 years from now. So, you know, it's always evolving.
You gotta make Poland, nothing can happen to you.
Yeah, exactly. So here we go, there's animation live.
Now you just do that about 12,000 more times, and you got a
Exactly.
short film, and 1,000,000 more times, and you got a feature.
There you go.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
I know there's some people that want to get in the sign stuff and pictures and stuff like that. I think they've got another show coming in the theater, so we'll do that outside if anybody wants to come say hi to Aaron and all that. And thank you so much for the wonderful questions and being such a great audience today.